Have you ever noticed that weird burnout flex at your school or in your early career?
Oh, the hustle flex. Yeah.
Right, like you know the vibe. Someone drops a screenshot into the group chat, or they post a blurry photo of a textbook to their story, and they proudly display the 3 a.m. timestamp.
Right, right. Or they show up to first period clutching, like a massive iced coffee.
Exactly, just practically vibrating with anxiety, making sure everyone within a 10-foot radius knows they only slept for 2 hours.
Yeah, because they were up studying or doom scrolling or just, panicking.
Totally. They wear those dark circles under their eyes like a literal badge of honor. It's this unspoken competition of who is sacrificing the most.
It really is. It's treated as cultural currency.
Mm.
And the terrifying part is that the whole environment, the educational system and the corporate world, they quietly reward it.
Yeah, they do.
We've engineered this setup where sheer exhaustion is somehow equated with like dedication and intrinsic worth.
Which creates a massive psychological trap. I mean, if you aren't running on empty, the implication is that you're just not trying hard enough, right? Like you're lazy.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because for this deep dive, we have some incredible sources that totally challenge the math of that mindset.
Yeah, we're looking at some really fascinating stuff today.
We are pulling excerpts from a manuscript by Sheila Contino called Pawn to Queen. And what makes this so relevant for you is that we're pairing it with insights from the Teen Edition Primer.
Which is such a brilliant crossover.
It is. It maps Sheila's real-world framework right onto the psychological principles from Sean Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens.
And it's a vital pairing because it addresses that core illusion of hustle culture. The grind feels like an absolute requirement for success. Like it's the only way to play the game.
Right. But the goal of our deep dive today, our
Mm.
mission here, is to completely dismantle the idea that endless sacrifice is a valid life strategy.
Yeah, the data and the lived experiences in the manuscript suggest the exact opposite of what we're taught.
So we want to help you transition from feeling like this powerless, highly stressed pawn on someone else's board to becoming the architect of your own life, a queen on your own board.
I love that framing
Yeah.
because operating on empty actually just traps you in this endless cycle of reactivity.
Right. So to understand why we glamorize exhaustion, we have to look at what Sela calls stage 1, the pawn.
And the most dangerous thing about the pawn stage is that it doesn't look like failure.
No, not at all. It looks like extreme indispensable competence.
Yeah, when you're in that baseline state, you're actually highly effective at executing tasks. You're loyal, you're fast, you carry a heavy load.
Which brings us to Sheila's actual experience, right? She was working in financial services in Hong Kong,
Right.
and she was managing the entire Asia Pacific region. So on paper, she's winning. She's a vice president. But the reality, she was staying in the office until 11:00 p.m. just to overlap with the Chicago team.
And then waking up at 3:00 a.m. to check emails.
Yes. I always think of it like a smartphone, right? Imagine your phone is running 20 really heavy apps in the background.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Right. Like you're doing a million essential things, but the screen is off. Nobody sees the actual work. And your battery is just quietly draining down to zero.
What's fascinating here is how the manuscript defines this. They call it invisible responsibility.
Invisible responsibility.
Yeah. You are essential to the operation, but you're reacting to everyone else's expectations. Your parents, your teachers, your bosses. You aren't driving your own life.
You're just keeping their system afloat.
Exactly. And if we look at the Teen Edition Primer, this connects directly to an inversion of Habit 1. Be proactive.
Okay, break that down for us.
So pawns are entirely reactive. They let the environment dictate their actions. Being proactive isn't just taking on more work. It's recognizing you have the agency to choose your response. When you're trapped in invisible responsibility, you forfeit that agency.
But wait, let me push back on this a little bit. Because if you're a high school student trying to get into college, or a junior employee, don't you have to do that heavy lifting?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that just paying your dues and hustling to prove yourself? You can't just opt out, right?
That fear is totally valid. And the framework doesn't say hard work isn't necessary, but there's a massive distinction here between performance and positioning.
Performance versus positioning.
Yeah. Doing the work, getting the grades, pulling the late nights, that's performance. And that's great. But letting the work consume your entire identity without any strategic end goal, that is a trap.
You're just burning your finite resources to make someone else's system run smoothly.
Precisely. It's motion without direction.
which inevitably leads to a breaking point. I mean, you
Yeah.
can only run that 3.00 a.m. hustle for so long.
Your hardware will eventually shut down.
Yeah. And that brings us to a really transformative moment in Sheila's life, which triggers stage 2, the awakening.
And it took a jarring external mirror to show her the reality of what she was doing.
Right, because she couldn't see it herself. So the scene from the sources is just incredibly vivid. Her mother, who she calls her Nanai, was visiting her in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And it's 3 a.m. The Nanai wakes up, walks out, and finds Sheila sitting in the dark, just, illuminated by her laptop screen, frantically checking work emails.
It's a striking image.
It really is. And her Nanai doesn't yell at her. She just starts crying. And she pleads with her, "Sheila, please take good care of yourself."
Wow.
So what does this all mean? Like, why is that the turning point?
Well, think about the psychological weight of that. When you're the one sending the email at 3:00 a.m., your ego tricks you into thinking you're this warrior.
Oh, totally. You feel so important.
But when someone who loves you holds up a mirror, they don't see a warrior. They see someone systematically destroying themselves.
The glamour just vanishes.
Exactly. And that 3 a.m. moment is the pure essence of the awakening. It's the realization that endless sacrifice isn't a strategy.
It's just self-destruction.
Yeah. And the primer connects this directly to habit 7, sharpen the saw.
Ah, okay. The lumberjack analogy.
Right. You absolutely cannot be effective if you are running on an empty tank. If you're a lumberjack and you refuse to stop cutting trees because you're too busy to sharpen your saw,
Yeah.
your blade gets dull, you exert twice the effort for half the result.
So the 3 a.m. lifestyle is basically hacking at a tree with a blunt piece of metal.
Exactly. You must set boundaries to protect your mental and physical health.
Yeah.
And for you listening, awakening happens when you stop personalizing your struggles and start seeing the system.
Yes. You realize that staying up until 3 a.m. isn't a flex. It's actually a sign that you're letting external pressures control your board.
You realize the game is rigged.
So once she wakes up to the fact that these 3 a.m. emails aren't sustainable, she tries to fix it.
Right.
But she assumes the fix is just getting a better title.
Which is what we all do, right? We seek an upgrade within the same flawed system.
Yeah. We think the VIP room will hurt less. So this leads to a crucial lesson about the difference between climbing the ladder and making sure it's leaning against the right wall.
The Singapore illusion.
Exactly. So she lands what looks like the perfect manager job in Singapore. She's leading 2 teams of 7. She has daylight face-to-face meetings instead of 3 a.m. international calls.
It looks like the ultimate win. She solved the equation.
But here's where it gets really interesting. She only stayed in that Singapore job for 8 months.
8 months after all that work.
Right. Why? Because she realized the profound difference between a role that fits your function and a role that fits your direction.
And this traps so many highly capable students and young professionals.
Totally. I mean, function is what you are good at doing. Direction is where you actually want your life to go. It's like, okay, imagine you get recruited to be the captain of the debate team because you're incredible at arguing.
Right, your function is off the charts.
Yes, your function is perfect. You win awards. Everyone praises you. But internally, you actually hate public speaking and you want to be a marine biologist.
That's your direction.
Exactly. Just because the shoe fits your foot perfectly, it doesn't mean it's pointing you in the direction you actually want to walk.
That is such a crucial distinction. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the primer links this directly to habit 2. Begin with the end in mind.
Begin with the end in mind.
Yeah. Just because you can't do something doesn't mean you should. Sheila realized taking the Singapore job was just automatic advancement. She didn't really choose it.
She was just moving because the space was open.
Right. Strategic positioning stage 3 requires you to stop moving just for the sake of moving. You have to start designing your movement based on your ultimate goals.
Which means walking away from the perfect Singapore job, leaving that was a massive boundary to set.
Huge. She had to disappoint people.
But it was exactly that boundary that allowed her to finally step into stage 4, the queen.
And we really need to redefine what queen means in this context.
Yeah, because we usually picture like a queen bee in a high school cafeteria tearing people down or someone dominating a room.
Right, but that's rooted in insecurity. The queen stage here is about self-directed leadership.
It's based on the chess piece itself.
Exactly. In chess, the queen is the most powerful piece on the board. Not because she dominates, but because she operates from clarity, alignment, and choice. She has unparalleled freedom of movement.
She isn't locked into a reactive pattern like the pawn.
Right. And this brings in the final crossover with habit 3. Put first things first, And habit 6, synergize.
Okay, how do those fit into the queen stage?
Well, the queen realizes that success is rarely solitary. She puts first things first by fiercely protecting her peace and maintaining her boundaries. You can't execute your direction with a dead battery.
Right.
But then, habit 6, synergize. She uses her reclaimed power and freedom not to exhaust herself, but to build platforms that help others succeed.
Which is exactly what Sheila did. Once she stopped draining her energy on corporate milestones she didn't care about, she built the 4S Foundation for underprivileged students.
Yeah.
And she built the Pinoy chess community in Hong Kong for migrant workers. She literally built a board where other people could stop being pawns.
It's incredible. That is the ultimate metric of leadership.
And I have to ask this because I know what you're thinking if you're listening to this. Setting these boundaries. Telling a teacher you can't take on another extracurricular, or telling a boss you're logging off at 5 p.m.
It's terrifying.
It is. When you are a teenager or a junior employee, the system holds the leverage. How do you actually do it?
This raises an important question because the power dynamics are very real. But courage in these moments comes from having a clear why.
Your direction.
Exactly. When you know your direction, your end in mind saying no to the things that drain your battery stops feeling like a personal failure. It becomes a highly strategic move.
A strategic move, not a weakness.
Right. Exhaustion is just a symptom of a missing boundary. It is not a measure of your worth as a person.
That completely strips the power away from the burnout flex. The person bragging about 2 hours of sleep isn't a hero. They're just letting the environment dictate their worth.
They're a train hurtling down the wrong track.
Wow. Okay, so to wrap this all up for you listening, you are not a powerless piece on someone else's board.
No, you're not.
Whether you're dealing with high school peer pressure or college burnout or a demanding boss, you have the power to step out of that pawn trap. You can set boundaries and you can move with intention.
Which brings us to your move.
Yes, the challenge.
We want to leave you with something to explore on your own. We know exhaustion is not a flex, so look at your schedule for the upcoming week.
Just take a hard look at it.
Yeah. Identify one specific area where you are sacrificing your sleep, your peace, or your true direction just to meet someone else's expectation.
Where are you carrying invisible responsibility?
Exactly. And ask yourself, where do you need to set a boundary this week to protect your peace and your direction?
Drop the iced coffee, ignore the 3.0 a.m. timestamps, and take control of your board. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. Step back, figure out your direction, and make your next move a strategic one.